Hello and welcome back to the 740 Zone for episode 2. I'm your host Jacob Murray, and we dealt with lightning delays all over Southeast Ohio for our Week 1 coverage of games, but our reporters stayed strong with it and we're out there to bring you the coverage from Week 1. And we start off with two perennial playoff teams in Granville and Waverly playing here in Week 1, and reporter Ryan Kincaid was out to catch all the exciting action as it unfolded.
Week 1 was a go in Waverly, and not even the diminished power of a hurricane could stop this one between the Tigers of Waverly and the Blue Aces of Granville. It was a competitive game throughout with 6 lead changes total and an ending that wowed the crowd and is one they'll never forget. With flash flood conditions hitting the town center, it was doubtful Week 1 would kick off on time. However, after a 90-minute delay, the two teams kicked off on what would become a back-and-forth classic of a season opener. Granville struck first with the deep ball over the middle after only 3 plays, 8-0 Blue Aces. Waverly couldn't get much going on offense, but never fear, the defense is here. Interception by Zeke Brown goes all the way to the house for a pick 6. 8-7 ball game, and what's this? The snap goes over the head of the quarterback, who recovers, but this mistake will cost him dearly again. Another bad snap, and the ball rolls into the end zone for a safety. Waverly leads by 1. Second quarter now, Granville up 21-16, and another interception by the Tigers defense sets up a nice drive for quarterback Hayden Shanks to toss a dart to the end zone for a touchdown. This back and forth will last all game, with neither side managing to pull away, until Granville looked to have the game secured in the fourth. But look out, here comes the Tigers on a comeback run. They get the job done with 10 seconds left in the game. Granville comes up one big play short, and the Waverly Tigers earn a huge upset win over a Division III powerhouse, 36-35. The keys to Waverly's offense was the tandem of Shanks and his number 1 target, Will Futhi. These two combined for a dangerous aerial attack that kept the Blue Aces guessing on defense. So, when the Tigers decided to ground and pound, Granville would be set deep. Passing was also the strong suit of the Blue Aces, who preferred a short screen pass and the magic feet from the receivers to make a play. This high-octane offense appeared to tire the Waverly defense, though a late-game rally was all it took to put Granville on the back foot with no time left. Early mistakes cost Granville chance after chance to put the game away, and they leave Pike County with a painful opening loss.
Waverly will be back at home next week to play Portsmouth West, which should be a very exciting game in that one. Now we bring on reporter Zach Paquette, who was out to watch Waterford play Fort Fry this past week. And look, they haven't beaten Fort Fry in over 12 years. How do you think they could have gotten it done in this one?
Well, given the recent series history, I think it's fair to say that Waterford was the underdog coming into Friday night, but they surely didn't play like it at all. The Wildcat defense was buzzing all night, holding the Cadets to only 7 points through 3 quarters. At times, they got pressure on Ian Ellis, and the Wildcats forced 1 interception and stopped the Cadets not once, but twice inside the red zone.
So the Cadets would eventually win 22-6, but what was the difference maker for the Cadets on Friday night?
The Cadets were just able to make the big plays. Ian Ellis had a great night, combining for 183 all-purpose yards and 2 scores, but I believe the true difference maker was Mason Long for the Cadets. He was Fort Fry's all-purpose guy on Friday. He combined for 146 yards and had arguably the 2 biggest plays for the Cadets. He caught Ellis's pass on 4th and long in the red zone, which would then set up Ellis's 1-yard score to put the Cadets up 13-6 at the start of the 4th quarter. And then Long also put the nail in the coffin in this game when he broke out a 44-yard touchdown score to give the Cadets the insurance marker they were looking for.
Yeah, a very solid night for Ellis and Long, but the Wildcats did have a solid effort as well.
Yeah, Jacob, Fort Fry is a very solid program, and the Wildcats were able to hang around with them for about 40 minutes of the game, and the defense carried the way for this team. They have really good players up front, with Hayden Offenberger leading the way for them. And on the other side of the ball, Grant McCutcheon had a pretty good night, I thought, considering he was the backup for the Wildcats last year. He moved around well in the pocket and hit his receivers on some huge downs, and his O-line helped him out tremendously. He was only sacked once on Friday night. The offense will be run through McCutcheon and Holden Daly, and once they all get familiar with each other and find some momentum, this Waterford team could be a force in the TVC Hockey.
Conference play for the Wildcats will start next week when they play South Gallia. Thanks for the good work, Zach. Now we head over to an actual rivalry here in week 1 where we saw Warren face off against Marietta in Vincent, Ohio. And we had two of our reporters, reporter Nick Veland and Joe Collins out there to catch you up on all the action.
High school football being back in Southeast Ohio was just like the sky tonight. Electric. And Joe, that was a big part of the game as the Warren Warriors ended up defeating the Marietta Tigers 28-6. Game was already decided at the time that the game was called, but still a major factor.
Good field position was crucial tonight in order for Warren to win this one, and their defense was the reason for that. All night, Warren shut the door on the running opportunities for Marietta, holding them to 0 yards on traditional carries. The Warriors were able to take advantage of 2 missed snaps while Marietta was trying to punt the ball away, which puts Warren holding Marietta to negative 50 yards of total rushing. Josh Welch and Peyton Keller both had interceptions, which is a great way to start off their senior seasons. Add a fumble to the turnover mix, and Warren's defense had 5 forced turnovers in their season debut. This was the first game against an opponent in a while for both these teams, but the Wildcats' defense allowing them to give their offense the ball with good field position and allowing them easy scoring opportunities, which they were able to take advantage of.
On the offensive side of the ball, the Warren Warriors are usually known for their play through the air. That was not the case Friday night, as it was all about that ground and pound. One of the big reasons for their success running the ball was the stellar play of their quarterback, Kurt Taylor. The senior quarterback made plays with his legs all night, rushing for 2 touchdowns late in the third quarter that essentially put the icing on the cake of this Warren victory. If there was one play call the Warren offense found success on all night, it was the read option. The biggest play of the night was when Taylor faked a handoff to his fullback and pitched it back to Evan Gandy, who would dash forward and end up picking up 57 yards before being brought down at the 2. Run the ball and play good defense, a head coach's dream, and Warren executed on both of those wishes.
With only 6 games in the regular season due to the coronavirus shortening the season, every win means even more than they usually do. Well, for 740 Zone, this has been Nick Veland and Joe Collins. We better get back to the car before it starts raining. Hey Nick, race to the car.
Warren Warriors will look to continue that early season momentum when they play Fort Fry, a very tough opponent, next week. Now with me is reporter Alex Porter, and even though you only got to see only a quarter of the New Lex Sheridan game, because it was delayed due to storms, we did see some fireworks even in that one quarter.
Yeah, I know I needed to see some football, Jacob, and I'm glad I was able to get at least a little bit of a fix last night.
Yeah, right. You know, we're all very excited to see football yet again, but even coming into this one, you said New Lex's offense was high-powered heading into this, so how did it look early on in this one?
Well, I don't want to hype myself up a little bit too much, but I think I hit the nail on the head to start this game. Sheridan had the first drive of the game, and it only took them about a few plays to find the end zone. And 2 of New Lex's offensive possessions resulted in a pick 6 and a block punt. I'll get to the block punt here in a moment. New Lex had their moments where they were able to get down the field, but they just weren't able to put up points. And as for Sheridan, they dominated the game from both sides of the ball. And as you were able to see, the score at the end of the first quarter was 28-0.
Yeah, you kind of talked about it too. I mean, Sheridan's defense was key in this one coming into it. So clearly Sheridan had everything working for it in this first game. But what looked more solid, the offense or the defense?
Well, I gotta say, it was both. The offense and the defense looked really solid from the little action that they were able to get. Landon Russell, clearly a top wide receiver for Coach Culver, really got the offense going. He had 3 catches on the first drive and later caught a 40-yard touchdown pass. Jason Munning was also doing it for the Generals on the running game. He's a head down and run hard type of guy, and you could see that he has some heart when he has the ball in his hands. And as for the defensive side of the ball, Logan Morris was an absolute unit on the turf. He was putting pressure on Logan Ratliff and was keeping the Panther offense at bay. And I do have to say, this next play for the viewers, they have to see this because this was possibly the top play of the game. New Lex is punting the ball on 4th down, and Morris just absolutely trucks the offensive lineman from New Lex, gets the block punt, picks up the ball, and even goes a few yards with it. And man, that was impressive, and like I said, definitely a play of the game.
Like you said, Alex, it was very impressive for him to break through that line and just put one arm up and get that tip on the ball. And as we mentioned earlier on in the show, we were only able to see a little bit of this game as the rest of the game got postponed on Friday night due to the thunderstorms that rolled through the area. Gameplay will resume on Saturday at 7 o'clock. And yeah, and as Alex Porter mentioned earlier on, the big school, little school rivalry will definitely play out very interesting in this division. Thank you for the good work, Alex. Now, we move up Route 33, where we travel to Logan to see the Chieftains take on the Jackson Ironmen. Reporters Claire Geary and Will Price were out there for all the details on this matchup.
The Chieftains and the Ironmen had a memorable opening night to the 2020 football season on Friday. Friday night started off strong for Jackson as they put their first points on the board with a touchdown from quarterback Jake Winters after a nice run from junior Evan Spires, but then the rain started to fall from the clouds in Logan. After a pick six from Jackson's Macon Peril to add another 7 to the board, the Lightning and Thunder came in and delayed the game for roughly 90 minutes.
Even after the 90-minute rain delay, that couldn't stop Macon Peril from taking over on the field in Logan.
He did it on both ends of the field.
And he had another interception to go along with the pick six, as well as a touchdown reception to end with 2 touchdowns on the night. He wasn't the only Ironman getting it done, though. Tristan Prater had an 80-yard touchdown reception and then had a second one in the fourth quarter to go along with 160 yards receiving, and their quarterback was doing it all. 3 touchdown passes from sophomore Jacob Winters, and he had 2 more on the ground. The Jackson Ironmen started off their season phenomenally and took home a 48-12 win.
And next week, the Ironmen will stay on the road as they will take a trip to McLean. Meanwhile, the Chieftains will take a trip to Amanda Clear Creek. Alongside me is Will Price, I'm Claire Geary, reporting from Logan, Ohio, where the 7-4 is.
Additionally, this is the first time that these two teams have faced off since 2017, and to Claire and Will, thank you for bracing the weather for us. Now we head out to our last game of Friday night, where Meigs and Vinton County duked it out, and reporter Nick Henthorne was out there to see it. So, how did it turn out?
This game went back and forth, but Vinton County seemed to hold the momentum more often than not. It took a couple of clutch plays from the Marauders for them to win this one. As we've seen, everywhere got rained on Friday night, and this game was no different. A delayed start to this one and another weather delay a few minutes into the game. You can see here everyone filing off the field, but that delay did not come before Jake McElroy could take the ball wide around the edge, up the right sideline, and stretch into the end zone to open up the scoring. Meigs leads 8-0, but not for long. After the game resumed, Vikings quarterback Braylon Dameron took this one himself for 6, and after a 2-point conversion, BC led 8-6. Now, only 1 second left in halftime here. Vikes will go ahead, they'll drop back, heave it deep for the senior Elijah Williams, who will reel it in, but ruled out of bounds. That hurts. And to open up half number 2, Morgan Roberts wasted little time getting after the quarterback. He had 2 sacks and a fumble recovery in this one. Then we saw BC really start to wear Meigs down with some strong side power running. Everyone was getting involved, Jacob. Brock Moore, Elijah Williams, both gashing the Marauders' defense here. The Vikings really tried and controlled the tempo for much of the second half. And the MVP for BC this game was without doubt Zach Radabot, flying around everywhere on defense and scoring 2 touchdowns on the ground. He'll beat the defenders to the pylon here. BC up 12-20 with 7 minutes to go. And this is where Meigs quarterback Coulter Cleveland takes over. Look at this. Escapes the rusher, gets out of trouble, he'll put a stiff arm on a Viking, and then shoots a little jump shot for the completion. Later that drive, Cleveland is going to get the ball here, roll out, look, and find Zach Searles for the touchdown. 1 2-point conversion later, this one is tied. Searles would snag an interception on defense and give the Marauders the ball back, chance to take the lead, and Cleveland would deliver. A 40-yard strike down the field to Wyatt Hoover, who runs it in and gives Meigs the lead with under a minute to play in this one. That's a huge throw. They're celebrating, but we still got a game. DC would get their chance, but 4th down here, the rush gets in, and this one is sealed up. Cleveland spoke about the comeback after the game.
Oh, well, last year, especially with Wyatt being the primary guy last year and him coming back and being that primary guy for the 2nd year in a row, we have a really good connection that we started clicking late last year, and it's just carried over. Well, we came out, it was only one play. We got the ball on the 40 after Searles' great pick. Got the ball on, I think, the 40. When we came out, ran it down, out, and go. Wyatt had him by 2 steps. All I had to do is float it up and made a great catch.
It was definitely a fun game to watch right down to the wire. Thanks to really good reporting, Nick. And now we close out our show telling you that we have 2 more games that we'll be covering on Saturday night. We will be watching Wheelersburg at Chillicothe, and we will be also watching Trimble at NY. So be sure to tune into our social medias to catch up on all the action from those games on Saturday night. And I'm saying good night from the 740 Zone.